Dawson, silly.
Hi guys.
Wow.
Live with another host or viewer. I'm sorry y'all, I have never gone live on TikTok before. We're reading all of this.
Y'all, what's going on? Come on, man. Come on in. Hop in.
Weird.
Hop in.
Okay. Hey guys. Sorry, we're looking at two screens at once.
Yeah.
Hi. Wow, y'all got here quick.
Yeah. So guys,
Okay.
just to let y'all know, we are live on TikTok and Instagram at the same time. So if you see the eyes moving back and forth, trust me, we ain't crazy.
Right.
She is a little bit, but I'm not. But yeah, I'm glad y'all joining in, man. This is a big thing. I get it.
I literally haven't gone live in like 5 years.
Oh, you sure?
Anyways, here we are. We are going to go ahead and jump into this Q&A. He is extremely nervous.
Hey, they sending likes and loves. This is crazy. Y'all like for real.
So for those of y'all who don't understand, we are real people. We are everyday people that are, everyday people. We're parents. We've been together for forever.
Yeah.
I think somebody asked that, so I guess I'll jump to that question. We have them all over the screen, so again, we're looking at a billion different things. So I'll start with the how did we meet? That was from Stormy92. So hey Stormy. We met in high school the first day of 9th grade. Literally I walked into the wrong art class and I ended up I had to get like escorted to the new art class. So he was there and he was the first person I saw. And,
of course.
and that's literally like how we met. We met on the first day of art class. And what's crazy is we both have music and art tattoos, and that is literally where we connect. Mine is a heart and a music symbol behind my ear, but yeah. That's our connection base. Oh, thank you. I'm reading some of the comments. Oh, we love you too.
What's crazy is when she first walked in, everybody was like, oh, is it love at first sight? For me, it wasn't love at first sight, but it was like, who is she? If you've seen our YouTube video, you saw me explain this, but for the people that haven't, it was Britnee always has looked like this, but for some reason in 9th grade, she looked a lot older. So I'm like, either she's dumb and she's in this class because she got to make up an elective. Yeah, I thought you was just like one of them stupid upperclassmen that just had to make it up. But you walked in and you just looked so different. From coming to 9th grade, like in that new school, I'm like, yo, who is she? She got carpet skin. She looks different than everybody that I know. What's up? And then from there, I did what I had to do.
That's dope. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. Unique Boss 71 asked, is there an age difference between us? Yes.
I'm her elder.
His birthday's March 6th, so he's a Pisces. Everybody knows that I'm a Taurus. My birthday's May 7th, so he's older by a month and a day. Literally.
Yeah, in dogfish, that's a long time.
Anyways, let's go to another question. Okay, two people asked how did we meet? Just Coily J asked how did we meet as well. Somebody just said we just love you. We appreciate y'all. Like, I have talked to so many of y'all through messages, through Instagram, through so many things, and I am so excited.
March 6th. Go ahead.
I'm just excited because y'all literally like make my day. I literally carve out at least 2 hours to just respond to everybody. And it warms my heart because y'all say some of the sweetest things. Some of y'all say some crazy stuff, especially in his inbox. But to be quite honest,
delete. Ain't got no time.
To be quite honest, and without, again, if you watched our last YouTube video, to not really tell everybody's business that we went to college with, we have been through some things. We've known each other since we were 14 years old. This is our year 30, so it's been some time. Please understand that I've seen every type of female. I've seen every type of male try to approach him, every type of female try to approach him.
I ain't trying to talk back to no male.
He never tried to talk to a dude, but there have been dudes that approached him. There has been women that approached him. I have known from 14 to whenever we started dating, which God knows when, every female that he dated. I know all his secrets. He knows all my secrets.
You don't have no secrets.
I don't.
She a PK now. let it be known. She is like,
I don't do anything.
She ain't got no rap sheet at all.
But yeah, for all of y'all women sliding in my man's DMs, he's with me because he's with me. He chose me. I didn't really choose him. So whether I was fat, skinny, indifferent at the time doesn't matter. But y'all be in his DMs. Y'all don't come to my DMs like that.
Honest, like,
it is what it is, but I'm just letting y'all know, like, those things don't phase our marriage. I know for some people who are new in their marriage, that may start an argument, but we're true to this.
We've seen this so much.
We've seen so much. And to blow it up real quick, he was a rapper back in the day, and we've been in every club known to man, from here to Valdosta. This is not new to us. I'm used to it. Y'all don't faze me. I've been approached by women, tried to be jumped by women because they wanted my man. The same. I'm not bragging about it. I'm just being honest. Like, we are so seasoned in this that, y'all shouldn't at this point.
And we can't stop it.
Disrespectfully, at this point, I mean, we've been through this so long, so I just don't want y'all to waste your time or get your hopes up because, I see somebody, Valdosta, go Blazers. Yes. He doesn't care for Valdosta. I love Valdosta.
I do.
It was one of my first choices.
I cared for it when I was there. When they kicked me out, long story.
Kid.
When they kicked me out, that's when, I lost interest. Mm-hmm. She said, damn, some women are too bold for the wrong thing.
Girl, they be so bold. And I just laugh because I've never had to go after somebody else's man. Now, there are people that will say otherwise because in high school, he was dating other people and they felt like I was trying to take their man somehow.
What's crazy is every girl that I dated, I knew where home was. She was always home, and I knew like she was long term. But in a teenager mindset, especially a man, we mature a lot slower. So I was looking for short term. And since I knew what I had, I was like, okay, let me play the fence and try to, have my cake and eat it. But all of the girls that I was trying to date, I tried to like turn them into Britnee. Like, one of the first things that I taught Britnee was how to do my hair, how to retwist dreads. So that was one of the first things, I go talk to a chick, whoopie whoop, come by my dorm later, I'm gonna show you something. They could never get it right. She recorded all my songs. Literally, she was my engineer. She was my photographer, my first fan. Like, dog, she did everything. So anybody that I met, I was like, she has to be like Britney. If she's not like Britney, I can't rock with you. And it never worked because they never were Britney. So.
And that's the definition of being benched. I know that we talk about that in the video, and a lot of people had questions about bench. So it's BENCHED. Like bench, like when a player doesn't get to play, they just to warm the bench. He benched me.
We rich, just get it.
Right. He benched me because he was trying to reserve me and be selfish. No, I was not one of those, sedity chicks or ditzy chicks that just waited on him. I did date other people. I did live my life. And yeah, I continued what I was doing. Did I keep him close? Absolutely. Because he was playing a game and so was I.
She said, what did you do while you were benched? Yeah, she tried to go play the field.
I did try to talk to some people, and it backfired because, a lot of people were trying to talk to me to get back at him. Some people were trying to talk to me to just prove a point, and then some people were talking to me to add to the, I'm gonna take your V card. And I'm like, he's already done it, so I'm not in this to have sex. I'm just here. So
manifestation is real. I told her in 10th grade in front of math class, I'm gonna take your virginity. Said it with all confidence. Everybody was trying to come for her because they knew she was the only Mary in the school, for lack of better terms.
What?
The whole football team, the basketball team, he had a nigga that tried to lie on his dick to say that he had, like,
did.
Bro, it was so, even one of my best friends at the time, I was like, go talk to her. I gave him the okay and said, go talk to her because I already knew. I'm sorry, it was just like that.
So anyways, let's get back to these questions. Were you each other's first real relationship? No. I had a whole first love that I met in high school. Like we were set to, like we were planning a wedding, had a wedding book. Our parents were friends, so his dad and my mom were friends. Like we were, it was it. He was my safe pick. I'm sure at the time I was his safe pick. We were both virgins. It was great. He went to a different school. Like we had it all made. See, he don't like him. Please don't die. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I did have a whole relationship before him. So yeah.
All right.
And I was your first real relationship.
She was.
All of your other relationships were so bad. They were bad because, to be honest, he was a cheater, and that's why it took so long for me to take him out the friend zone to like be his girl, because he was a cheater. He was a dog. Like, he's light skinned. No offense, but light skinned dudes just, y'all have a type, and I just couldn't. So
yeah, I was fast.
Yeah,
I was fast, but I knew where home was.
Yeah.
So I straightened
Stop
up.
saying that. Okay, what other question? Oh, I want to ask, when did y'all first have your loyalty or trust tested with each other? Oh, let's get to these questions.
One girl asked if we started our lock journey together.
Oh wait, how long were y'all talking before you committed to dating? We talked for a really long time because what he explained, first of all, my mom is extremely strict. So before he even got to call himself my boyfriend, my mom was like, okay, so what are your intentions with my daughter? What is your plan for life? Do you plan on going to college? What is your career? Like, she drilled him, and she was like, so what 17. Do y'all? Yeah, she's like, so what do y'all call yourselves? And he said, well, we're talking without a title. And she was like, what does that mean? You drive in the car illegally, you don't own the title to it? Like, that doesn't make sense. And I was like, yeah, because riddle me that. What are you saying? Like, we're talking without dating? So we did that for a whole summer. We were technically talking in high school. But
yeah, we were talking off and on in high school.
We were off and on talking in high school. So probably a year
before we started
dating. And we did it for 5 years before he popped the question.
Yeah.
And we've been married, what is this, year 6? Year 6 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Somebody understands light skin. How long? Yeah, we were dating for 5 years before we got married. But this question that hit me: when did y'all first have your loyalty or trust tested with each other?
It ain't starting till
it didn't start till college, because college was rough. Like, y'all have to go watch that YouTube video. It was really rough for us. Me more than anything, because he was loose. Like, I wasn't prepared. I was like, yo, you're pretty out there. And I wasn't raised like that. I was raised, by a Christian mother who kept me in church, Bible study. I started a church group for kids that still goes on to this day in New York. Like, that's what I did.
Man, you making me sound like Satan right now, dog.
But, and his parents did an amazing job teaching him things, but he just didn't catch on until yesterday. I
played ball in high school or whatever, but I wasn't the most popular. Like, if you knew Dorian or what the tall light skinned dude that played basketball, okay, cool, that was about as much as you got. So when I got to college, it was a fresh slate. And I say this in the YouTube video, but it's pretty much like I wasn't raised like that either. I don't want y'all to think that, I ain't had both of my parents. I lived in pretty much a white picket fence neighborhood. Had both of my parents.
Dad was in the NFL,
all right,
CFL.
I'm explaining.
I always have to pump up my father-in-law because I'm famous because he was famous, okay? He played in the NFL. Don't ask me the teams. He always tries to tell me, and I always forget, but I know that he played in the NFL. You can Google him. He pops up on Google. He has a Wikipedia page and everything. You can Google us, me more so than him, because I've been around.
Yo, you is
but no, my father-in-law is the GOAT.
So,
yeah.
So
he got to travel.
I had a good upbringing. I lived in Canada for a minute. We lived in Dallas. I'm from St. Louis. And then we landed in Atlanta and just kind of got settled. But again, I was not raised like that to just dog women. I had my mom around slapping me left and right if I did something crazy.
It's true.
But when the thumb was taken off of me and we went to Valdosta and I had a fresh slate, no history from anybody besides Britnee.
Yeah.
It was just an open world for me. I didn't know how to handle it. Obviously she did. And that's where everything kind of got crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, the test really happened in college. Just too many to sum up in a live.
Many. I will tell y'all a quick story. I remember one time, I gotta tell it, because he was mean. I remember this one time where he was so pissy drunk. He came to my dorm and I was like taking care of him because he did something in the club. He had an eyebrow ring and his eyebrow ring was like bloody and nasty. So I was like, well, let me just go clean it up. You can lay in the bed. I was cooking because everyone used to come to my dorm after the club and I would cook for them. But anyways, he was there and he was laying on my bed and he was like, you're stupid. I was like, what?
You should have ran that by me before we started.
Nah, he was like, you're stupid for staying with me. And I was like, wow. First of all, you're drunk and you're being really honest. But then the next day, he didn't remember that he said it. And it kind of made me as a woman, as a black woman, pivot. I was like, you think I'm desperate? Like, why did you feel so comfortable? Because number one, I've already explained, I'm a Taurus. I'm Guyanese. I'm from New York. So already you have 3 strikes against you as far as, my temperament. But
she said, what?
right. But yeah, it was like, I felt a way because I was like, oh, so he thinks that I'm just gonna sit here. And at a certain point, I realized that I was being weak. I was not acting how my mother, because my mother's from Queens, like, she's true to that lifestyle of, okay, you want to dog me, I'm gonna move on. And she's always raised me to be independent because she was a single mom. So, going into this relationship, it was like, that's a little bit much for you to come out and say to me.
Wow,
but
he was testing your gangster.
He was testing my gangster. And at that point, I literally had to walk away because I was about to strangle him. But I realized that it would have been, too much. Because, West Indians, we get a little crazy.
Yeah, y'all get knives. Y'all get weapons.
This is
in
true.
Greece.
This is true.
Greece.
But yeah, that one hurt. That tested a lot because I'm like, you're calling me stupid. You out here doing God knows what with God knows who, catching God knows whatever, and I don't have time. But anyways,
I remember a story.
Go ahead.
So you weren't doing nothing wrong. This was obviously her just moving on because she got tired of my BS. But it was one time we was at a game. What was that? It was a basketball game. And I catch her outside in the lobby or whatever. She's talking with her friends, but it's this guy next to her that she's actually talking to that I did not know at all.
He had no idea, and I made sure. I told him, the guy who I was talking to, I was like, listen, you don't know him and you don't know me when he's in public because I swear to you, he will make your life hell. And go ahead and tell the rest of the story because you kept your word.
So to let people know, I wasn't like having people body bagged or nothing. But I had built up a good reputation between my rap group and just popularity, whatever. I had enough people to watch her. So for me to like be standing right next to him, and then the story kind of came out a little bit later that I was like next to her potential boyfriend. It enraged me. It did something inside of me. It literally made my heart turn upside down. And just to hear that Britnee could possibly move on from me, oh my God.
Best believe he took me shopping. Him and his friends put money together for me to get a tattoo. Literally splurged on me. I got wings from Buffalo Wild Wings.
I took you to like McDonald's.
Checkers, French fries. We went all around Valdosta. He took me shopping, y'all. And I was like, oh, well, I should make him jealous more often. And I wasn't even trying, but the guy was a really good guy. And to be fair, like, I feel really bad for all of the guys that, you know, he shunned away. And then I idiotically, like, didn't realize that I was shooing away. That was not my intention. That was his intention, but it wasn't my intention. So just clear my name.
Well, first of all, Britnee had a shrine. Let's be honest. Britney had a shrine.
Are you telling my business?
Yes, because you told mine. She had a shrine above her bed. You go in her dorm to kill. Are you serious? It was about the size of a regular 15-inch Mac monitor, right? But probably bigger than that, about 20. So, pictures, right? She had a little screen.
I really pray that my best friend is not on these lives right now, because
please.
she will verify this information.
Testify. Come on. Hop up.
Oh,
but,
God.
yeah. So anybody that walked in her dorm, even if it wasn't somebody that she was talking to, word was gonna get around. You walk in Britney dorm, you're gonna see like this. It looked like a shrine, and she'll to this day tell you.
I will post a picture on Instagram for y'all to see what this shrine he's talking about, because I have a
Don't try to downplay it though. It was like 50 pictures of me up there.
It was us. It was pictures of us.
Holding hands.
I was manifesting our relationship.
I manifested it back in 10th grade. You didn't have to do that. Well, you kind of did. I appreciate it. I should have put more pictures.
Whatever. Let's see what other questions we have. Loyalty, we did that. How did we meet? We did that.
Okay, here.
Oh, so someone sent me a private message and they said, I'm sure it's probably on your page, but it would be great if you could give tips on how to keep freshness in a relationship and what you two do to be protective of your relationship. So I'll answer the first part of the question, and then I'll let you answer the protective part. Because I'm not the protective partner. I don't.
You not Diana?
I'm protective, but I'm like chill protective because I don't have time. Like, I'm not what is it? Confrontational person. Like, you have to really push my buttons to get me there, because once I'm there, there's no stopping. So I'm not a confrontational person, and I have dimples. Nobody takes me seriously. And if y'all comment on my picture one more time talking about my dimples, I'm gonna cut my cheeks off.
No, you're not. That's why you're here.
Jesus Christ.
A part of it.
Y'all, I've been trying to be an adult for so long, and y'all keep talking about how cute I am with these damn dimples.
You're so adorable though. I'll pinch them for y'all.
Oh my nerve. I'm just playing, but y'all, I'm grown. I'm about to be 30. Okay, put some respect on my age.
Oh, she had a good one, but we can do this one first.
Okay, so the first part is, how do we keep freshness in our relationship? We started a TikTok.
Straight up. Well, no, I mean, even before that.
Even before that, you know, we were traveling before kids, and then we had kids, and we just found entertainment through our children because they are mini versions of ourselves. My daughter is the sassy version of me that I am growing into. And our son is literally his dad in a smaller body. He wants to be a rapper. He wears similar clothes. Like, he's just a little clone. It gets on my nerves sometimes, but it's so cute at the same time. But yeah, we literally started a TikTok because we just wanted to try something new. I hate being in front of the camera. I am a photographer, so I like being behind.
You could have fooled me. All right, she not giving y'all context. So first of all, I feel like our freshness is derived from our commonalities. So we both like music and art. So for the longest, we have both gravitated in different directions. Like I said, I was a rapper. She was in everything. She was a journalist, photographer, interviewer. Like, we had a whole business company called Urban Hype Live. Go on YouTube right now, type in Urban Hype Live. We got mad videos of interviewing upcoming artists, entertainers.
Artists that y'all know now.
That y'all know. We almost had Black. Black was in my dorm recording with us. Are you serious? He went to Valdosta. Shout out Black. Sayardi the Kid played jank. Like, we did freestyle battles in Atlanta. So
Fort Knox has shouted us out a few times when we walked in the club. We shook hands, sat next to T.I. We DJ'd and photographed a party for Rashida twice.
Yeah. I was in an entertainment group with Kelsey Frost. Shout out Kelsey.
Yeah.
Like, I am ENT. Just go all the way back, guys. We're not new to this. And it's not to again brag about it, but it's just like our our freshness comes from us just being enamored in our commonalities and our crafts. So that's where it came from. But as far as TikTok go, this was on accident. We was just like, it's 5 years in our marriage. Yeah. Let's just post a video, and that joint took off. And we was like, let's do one more video. Same thing. We was like, we found another one. So
and we just started showing our personality. And honestly, our goal was never to be like TikTok people. We're not trying to like, still not. We're really just regular people. But, you know, I've had so many people message me in the past asking me like, you know, Britnee, you just seem like the world doesn't get to you, nothing gets to you. And I'm like, things get to me. But, you know, and I'm very open and honest on my page, my Facebook, everything about my journey, my life. Very honest with people who message me, but I wanted to just normalize marriage. Like, these people just, they only want to show you dancing videos or dancing TikToks or do this and do that. We're regular people. Like,
that's cool, but we even out here about to like dance videos.
Right, and it's no shade to anybody that does that. You know, we've done the entertaining lifestyle before, but I just feel like we need to normalize relationships because there are so many people that want to, you know, admire couple goals, and then you have celebrities that get public divorces, and you're like, I don't believe in marriage anymore. But there are real people that, like, we're regular people. Like,
we went
go through stuff.
Lot. So understand, before you say y'all a couple goals, I want what y'all got, don't do that. And here's why. Because you say that, God hears that too, and He say, okay, you want that, I'm gonna put you through the tribulations that's gonna make you that's gonna put you in that place. So you want to be in this moment, you know, on this side doing the TikTok with your spouse and talking about all of the good stuff that happened. But first you got to do maybe 5 years of trials. You have to develop a character. You have to become a specific type of person, and then individually we had to become our own selves and then bring that together in a marriage. It took time.
It did. And I think it was, you know, even though, to be very fair, so it's not like I'm the saint and he's the, you know, sinner. To be very honest, his test and his BS that he had to deal with me came when we got into the marriage. I've had many mental breakdowns. I've had many shortcomings. My kids have seen me have blackout breakdowns because I dealt with depression and so many other things. And having PCOS really jacked me up, which is why I had to get VSG surgery because it was affecting my mental health. And he literally had to peel me off the ground and pray me through some things and just get me through some time. So it wasn't easy because we fist fought before. We've gone through some things. We've literally almost died together. Not figuratively, like not just being funny, but we literally like spun backwards on a highway and we're going backwards while cars were coming towards us and ended up in a ditch. It was by the grace of God that we didn't flip over. And there was someone else in the back seat who literally
another person that can testify. Yeah,
who almost projected through the windows. Like, it was a really crazy, you know, car accident with just us. Thank God. But, you know, we've gone through so many things, and I tell people all the time, sure, we would love to be an example for you now, but all that we've gone through, we're just grateful to be in a space to be able to share our marriage, to do these Q&As, to really just be real for y'all, because a lot of people don't tell you their stuff. And I know somebody asked us, you know, to do a video on our hardships, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, that's nothing.
If you want to know the craziness that we've experienced, that's fine.
You may have to do a few parts. It may be like a power book situation. Hey, what part you want? You want 2013 hardships?
You want yesterday hardships? Like,
you want the first apartment hardships? Like,
oh yeah, we've got a few eviction letters from the first apartment.
Pictures to prove it. Like,
yeah, we still have the letters. Like, they're reminders every day. We literally, I think I told this story on one of the YouTubes. The day we were getting married, the day before I had to go to court, because I had, like, I didn't pay my tax or something. And the guy in front of me when I went to court, he had the same issue. They locked him up instantly. Like, he got put over to the side. They got all his stuff and he was in cuffs. And I was like, bro, I'm gonna get married tomorrow. When I tell y'all I got up to that thing and pleaded my ass off, I was like, I can't go to jail. I'm getting married tomorrow. Lady, I need you to, God, I need you to touch her heart. I said this all out loud while standing up there. And she let me go. I just paid a little fine. But yeah, and then the next day we got married, and then the day after that we've still to this day never had a real wedding. We never had a reception. We got married at a public park. It was $50 because we paid for chairs. My mom paid, and the other family. And then the day after that, we had to move all of our stuff. Like, we literally had one day to get all of our stuff out the apartment because they had people coming to evict us. So we were preparing for a wedding. We had to literally, you know, crouch it down because we were getting put out. With a child, a 1-year-old at that.
And the story about us getting married on short terms was because we were getting evicted, and the only way for us to move into my parents' house, because that was the only place that we could go, was if we were married. Otherwise, they were going to separate us. She was going to have to go back to her mom's house, and we were going to have to co-parent from 2 different houses, and we didn't want that after being in an apartment for 8 months with our son. That's all he knows. So we had to crunch a wedding, crunch an eviction, and crunch a move all in like
3 days.
3 days.
And avoid jail in 3 days. And no, I've never been to jail, ever. For my life. Yeah, we're not gonna talk about this case. We already told y'all in the video there's some legal things we can't really discuss. Legally, we can't discuss it, but yeah, you know, he was a little convict for a minute.
You had to do the A-kind with
Y'all pray for my husband, Jesus in heaven. Okay, what was the go live together? Oh, I don't even know what that means.
We're gonna do one of those another time. Somebody was requesting to join in, but yeah, we're gonna let some people come in another time that we go live. But we wanted to address some questions tonight.
Okay, half of the other question was, what do you do to be protective of your relationship? I pray. I love the Lord.
We stay prayed up.
Yeah. I
that's
pray.
number one.
His level of protection is a little different. He's very possessive, y'all. Like,
it's not possessive. You keep using that word.
It is. He's so possessive, and this VSG surgery has got me jacked up. And y'all, I will explain. I'm doing a video as soon as we are done with this to explain what VSG is, why I got it, how I qualified, how you can qualify, how you can get your insurance to cover it. All of those things, I will give you the details. But yeah, just know that for the summer, I will be snatched. You will not see chubby Britnee anymore. So I will explain all that, but he's very possessive.
All right, whatever. She calls it possessive, I call it protective. I have to take every type of measure to not only protect my wife, but protect my 2 children. So yes, I have to stay prayed up to protect the spiritual attacks, and I have to stay protected in the physical. So as far as what I would do is what I do like on a daily to protect our marriage, of course, is prayer, but is to also like go in order. Like I go through a filter of how I operate my day. So it's God, wife, family, business, in that order. So when a decision has to be made, I have to go through that filter. And that's understanding my wife's love language. That's understanding what she wants, what she needs without me even having to ask her. It's little things. And no, I'm not perfect, just like Michael Tyler. I am not a perfect man, but a progressive man. But in every day, I just hit that nail just one more time, making a daily deposit. And it becomes like second nature at a point. So much so we finish each other's sentences. You can go on the YouTube videos and we make the same faces or say the same thing at the same time. Like this has been a progression over time. So my protection is a little bit more emotionally based now, but again, when it comes to the physical, don't try me.
So somebody asked a really good question, and they said, did we ever consider our relationship toxic? Yes.
Yeah, it was bad at once.
It was bad. We had some parenting things to work out as well, because we were 22 when we had our son, so we were still out with our friends. Like we were out drinking one time, and it was like 11, 12 at night. It was a bunch of our work buddies, and our 1-year-old, he wasn't even 1 yet.
Yeah.
He was like a couple months old, and he was out there just chilling.
Yeah.
Like
He can stick his hand out and knock my drink over.
Yeah, and we were drunk, and you know, it was like we had a toxic relationship. We argued every day, so much so that, you know, I'd be holding our son, arguing back and forth, and my son would be knocked out. Like, he just got used to it.
Yeah.
Like, it has gotten so bad, and we probably apologize to that poor boy at least 20 times a day, because I'm like,
thank God he
son,
wasn't old enough to remember.
Yeah, I'm like, you grew up with us, and we're sorry. You know, we were kids. Now, when our daughter came, she got that no. Now it's him, because he says yes to everything. Me,
not everything, just like 99.9%.
You say yes all the time.
It's still like that 0.1% where I say no.
No. And I think another question is, somebody asked, how do we stick together? I can't really tell you guys how we stick together, but we have really, really good chemistry. It feels like we've been friends. Like, sometimes we don't even feel married. At least me, I don't really feel like we're married. We know that we're married when we look down at our fingers, and, you know, we have our marriage certificate up at all times, but we just have chemistry. And I tell people all the time, because everyone's like, they keep reposting this, oh, he would know, you know, he knows as soon as he meets you or something. Like, they don't have to wait. Sometimes the man will take a little longer, and it doesn't mean he doesn't know that you're the one. It doesn't mean that he doesn't trust that you're the one. It just means that he's trying to work out some things in himself. Because for a man, at least from what, you know, my husband has said to me, men are scared, and they're scared to hang up that jersey. They're scared for things to be final, because their world shifts, and then when you have kids, it shifts again. And for women, we're just like, well, we just deal with it. As black women, we do deal with it. We do just take the punches as they come, because that's what our ancestors and everybody that's come before us does. We take the punches. But men are a little bit different. They have to process things, and I think women want to jump into things so quickly, you know, that we're just like, oh, we know that you're the one. We've already read your energy. We've already did the compatibility for our zodiac signs. Like, we've done the work, and we're ready, because we mature much quicker, because we know how to cook the food. We know how to raise the kids. We know how to clean the house. We know how to give our man sex. We know how to do all those things without really having to think about it, because we know what autopilot feels like. But then for a man, it's like, we shouldn't. But some men are slow, and they're like, okay, so marriage means that I have to silence my desires and take on somebody else's desires. And then if we have a kid, I also have to appease my kid and appease my wife at the same time. And I'm like, for us, it's like, what's the problem? Cook the dinner, play with the kid, cook the dinner, play with the kid, serve the husband, serve the kid. Like, for me, it was a no-brainer, but for him, it was like, nah, I gotta pray about it. Like, it's gonna take some steps. It took me time.
And to put it out there, I was not pressured in any way to pop the question.
A lot of people DM'd him and asked him that.
Her mom was a drill sergeant. Every day, pretty much, she was dropping hints. But I never let anybody's pressure determine my decision. It needed to come from me. Because if I couldn't stand on it, I wouldn't be able to follow through with it for the rest of our lives. We're talking about a life commitment. So for me, it was like, yo, once you married, it wasn't like I was scared of it. It was, I know that this is it, and I don't want to play with something like that, because to me, it's like, that's instant. You go to hell. So I was scared in that sense. Like, God is going to strike me down if I look another woman's direction. Mm-hmm. So I need to know that I know that this is what I want. And it took time. It took time, because like, we went through those toxic years. We went through a lot of ebbs and flows, and when I finally came to grips with it, it kind of was in an unfortunate time of our lives, but it was a surety inside of me, where I was like, I don't need nobody else's input. I don't need nobody's persuasion. This is what I want to do. Mm-hmm. And if you don't agree with it, I'm sorry, but excuse you. Yeah. But this is my wife.
Yeah. So. Somebody asked a fun question. They said, what is our favorite thing about each other? Ooh. Y'all already see on TikTok, my favorite thing is his butt. No, I'm just playing. No.
No, but you're not lying.
I'm not. But
she touched my butt so much throughout the day. I'm like, yo, I will get a silicone copy, but you gotta get your hands up off of me.
Okay. My favorite favorite thing about you? You go first. I don't know.
My favorite thing about Britnee is she hasn't switched up since I met her in 9th grade. Y'all are meeting the exact same woman that I met in 9th grade. Me, I was a goth, I was an athlete, I was a gangster, I was a rapper, I was a nerd. Still am a nerd, but the coolest one that you don't meet. But I went through so many phases, and Britney's just like, hey guys, I'm the same me.
And that, it's a gift and a curse because people always say, Britney, you, no matter what time period I come to you, you're still the same.
Yeah.
Your responses to me are still the same. You're still bubbly. You're still this. And I'm like, but I want to change. I want to be different. I want you to come back and be like, oh, you've changed. They're like, I mean, you've gotten older. You're more mature, but your temperament is still the same. You're like the same person. If you love somebody, you love them. If you don't like them, you don't like them, but you find a way to still love them. And I'm like,
yeah,
okay, but I want to be different.
Nah, she has not changed at all.
That's like, I guess.
It's a great thing because a lot of people don't know who they are. Like,
but I've been this way since I was a child. I've looked this way since I was a child. Like, this is boring.
Not cool.
Stress. Anyways, what's my favorite thing about you? I say this all the time, and this is gonna make it super sad. I love the way that he loves me, without being so emotional and so deep.
You're so sensitive.
But when you've been through so much mentally, when you've been in crazy abusive situations, when your dad was in and out of your life, you got daddy issues, which I do. You learn to just have a little toxic thing with men, and I have been in some really interesting relationships. I've talked to different guys and girls, and
that's a whole nother video.
We're not gonna do that. I'm saved, I'm delivered. But anyways, y'all, please don't come in my DMs. Please, females, please look at my DMs. Please, I am delivered. I swear to God, I am delivered.
Yeah, she good.
We ain't doing a video on that. We're not talking about that. I'm delivered in the name of Jesus. Cause y'all, I'm not. Anyway, I love the way that he loves you because it just, like, you didn't have to. You had options. Like, you had other women that were throwing themselves at you. You could have chose your career over me. You could have said, nah, the streets are calling my name, but you chose to love me. Like, you chose to love me.
You're my guardian angel. I will forever go to my grave and say that.
Don't say that.
You're my spirit animal.
I'll be a mess. Now, there was somebody who asked a question that sparked this whole Q&A, so I have to give a huge shout out to her. Oh wait, how did y'all know it was meant to be?
How did you not?
How did you not want to give up or move on? Oh, I broke up with him several times, and I think for me personally, I broke up with him. I have brought up the divorce thing. Like, I pulled a divorce paper, screenshot him, and sent it to him a few times. And I think the one time that I stopped and realized that my relationship meant more to me than anything, he's 6'7", I'm 5'7", okay? He literally got down to my level, eye level with me, and looked me in my face and did just like this. He said, I will divorce you if you keep playing, okay? And I was like, what? We will get a divorce tomorrow. I was like, wow.
I don't remember it that intense. Dang.
He was intense. And I literally stood there, and then he left out the room, and I'm like, and then I started thinking, oh my God, we have 2 kids. What are we gonna do? And our daughter was like probably 2 months old. And I was dealing with postpartum depression. So I was throwing everything at him, and what's crazy is through all of my meanness, through all of my mess, like, he literally took care of me because I had to be on bed rest. And he was getting me food, helping me in the shower, helping me on the toilet. And I was crying and appreciative, but then I was angry because I'm like, I can't do anything. I'm just here. And you postpartum, you don't need a reason to be a bitch. You just are sometimes, and you're emotional. And when he said that to me, I was like, oh, so I need to stop playing because he will leave. And the thing about this guy is when he's done, and that scared me. So I learned to hold on to this, you know.
I think we both share that same quality, because you can cut somebody in a day.
And I'm sorry, y'all. I know I've cut so many people off, and it's not y'all. I'm really protecting y'all, because I just, if I'm not 100%, then I immediately disappear. And it's not because I don't want you in my life. It's because some things transpired within me spiritually, and God was like, you have to sever that, because I'm doing something in you. And I don't give the person warning. Sometimes I just have to separate, and sometimes it's temporary. And people get offended, and you know, I do, after God tells me I can, I am like, you know, I'm sorry. Like, I wasn't trying to distance myself from you. I wasn't trying to be mean. But God was doing some things to me, and I had to take a step back to be obedient. So it wasn't you, it was me. And I didn't have time to explain that to you, because God didn't tell me I needed to. So if you were going to be a real one, then you were going to be a real one. If you weren't, then I'm sorry.
I think in this season especially, guys, we've been in this apartment now for a little under a year, right? But before that, we did 5 years in a 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom room in her mom's house. You see her mom's house, it looked kind of like a mansion, but it was a lot of people in there, so it felt small. But again, we were in a room that was meant for 1 person. 4 people.
And it wasn't the master bedroom. It was just a regular bedroom with a bunk bed for the kids and a queen size bed for us that was tucked in the corner.
Yeah.
We were living out of plastic bins. And we have pictures. Like, this ain't a lie.
Yeah.
I took pictures because I wanted to remember. We literally had a condiment shelf for food, and a pots cabinet for, you know, our cupboard food.
Yeah.
And my mom wasn't being rude to us. She wasn't being mean, but there were other people living in the house, so we had kids. So, you know, we had to do what we had to do, but yeah.
So to sum it all up, after a lot had transpired, there's no burnt bridges, but there was a lot of it wasn't peaceful in that situation. It was already stressful being in a 1 bedroom with 4 people, but when you have the added expectations and additions of living with parents, trying to be parents under their roof, you're gonna do
trying
this.
To be married,
So it was a lot of that for 5 years. So now it's not us changing. Some people can perceive us as, oh, you switched up, you've changed. No, we're protecting our peace. Because we now have that opportunity to control what goes on under here. And if it's not peaceful because we manifested that before even moving in here, then it's kind of like we have to separate ourselves. And it can be perceived as something different. So I just wanted to throw that out there, because people can be like, oh, well, y'all done changed since y'all done got TikTok and Instagram famous. Like, we wasn't trying to do this on purpose.
We are recluse people by nature. I don't know what else to say. We literally stayed. But someone asked, can he explain how he knew you were the one God created for him? Spotlight on you.
How I knew she was the one
that God created.
It started back in high school. I'll forever go back to how me and her just clicked. It was a chemistry, it was a mesh, and this was when we both were dating other people. And it was literally like from 9th to 10th grade, we became the best of friends out of nowhere. And shout out Stephanie Velez. I don't know if you watching, but she was the first one to call in and say
Stephanie Brown.
Stephanie Brown. That's right.
She a wifey now.
Well, shout out Steph. She called it. She was like, y'all should maybe date it. Y'all should get together. And she kind of arranged it, and that's when the seed was planted. At least in me, because I was just head over heels without having to tell her. But as time progressed, and I just saw how much of a friend she was, not just a girl that I can, kind of kick it with, but a girl I can actually spill my emotions to. That's not something that a teenager does. We don't talk about our emotions besides like to our homies, but even then we just, talking bull. So with her, it was a snowball. It wasn't like she's the one. As soon as I saw her, it manifested over time. But as our relationship got tested, I guess that's when it really started to hit, like, this is what I want. long term. I'm not in a place to realize how to do that, and that's where the story really just kind of took off.
So I'm gonna get to this question because I remember when the email popped up with this question from YouTube. Both of us read it at the same time, like on our phones, and we were like, ooh, that's a good question. So someone, the page name I believe is Mommy Needs a Timeout. It says y'all have stories for days, so I'm going to ask, what helped you to trust that in marriage he wouldn't have any more phases?
Yeah. It's been a lot of them asking in here too, just in different ways.
That one kind of hit me because we did talk about in the video how, when my husband was dating, he dated women in phases, meaning they fulfilled something for him at the moment, and once the time was up, the time was up. And so many of those women asked me, while they were still in his life and even afterwards, like, how do you get to Dorian? And I said in the video, I was like, I can't give you the blueprint. Like, that's not what this is. I can give you like cliff notes, but you're gonna get the blueprint. But I was like, he goes through phases, and if you can't fulfill something longer than a phase for him, if he doesn't see value in you, then there's no, you're a phase. And for me, I remember talking to my mother-in-law and his grandmother, and they were sharing stories with me about when they were dating, their husbands, his dad and grandfather. And the one thing that his grandmother and his mom said to me was, if you're gonna be with Dorian, then you need to be with him. The things that he's done in the past, you either need to forgive him or you need to ask God for forgiveness, but you can't marry him without that forgiveness. And because of that, it was a really big challenge for me, because I was like, he's done so many things. You're asking me to forgive somebody who has literally been the first person to break my heart and constantly break it for years and years and years. That's gonna take time. It's not gonna be overnight that I forgive this man. And when I walked down the aisle and I, said my vows, at that moment I said a small prayer, and I'm like, God, if this is for me, I need you to heal my broken heart, because he can't do it.
I never heard
I said it inside. Before I said I do, I had to quickly say a prayer, and I'm like, God, if this is what you want for me, please heal my broken heart, because I don't want to marry this man and give him half of me, or only show up, for a small part. So I had to let go and trust that God had better for me, and he was the better. Because going back to my ex, who was my first love, wasn't an option, because there was so much damage there done because of him and because of my inconsistencies in that relationship. So I wasn't getting a break either way. Going back to him, I wasn't getting a break because he would have trust issues. And now being with him, I had trust issues. So there were trust issues on both sides. So it was like, choose the worser of two evils. And for me,
that's tough.
I had to do what I had to do and allow God to do what he had to do. So yeah, it was hard, but I did it. To be quite honest, without giving too much, my dad is a great guy somewhere, somehow, but to me as his daughter, he was not a great dad. When I have to come up with a definition of a great dad, he was not a great dad. He was a dad. He had his dad moments, but he wasn't a great dad. And because of that, it put some pressure on me as far as what I expected out of a man. And he's done so much in and out of my life, blaming me for stuff, not taking responsibility for things. He's done so much, and it piled up over the course of my life, over 20 years of a span, and it made me make excuses for him, for my husband. It made me make a lot of excuses, and because of that, I realized that I had some issues. You know, I had some things that I had to work out within myself based on my daddy issues. So when it came time for me to trust him and to move forward, I was like, at this point, my dad has done some really terrible things, said some really terrible things to me. There's nothing that anybody can do, not even him, that could break me down to the point that I've been broken down by my dad. Like, there's nothing that anybody could do. I've said this to so many people and they're like, that is so dark. It was my life.
It's true.
It's the truth. There's nothing you can say, there's nothing you can do that makes me feel that can make me feel any less than my own dad has made me feel. Like, that's my parent. He actually laid down and had sex with my mother to create me, and then turned around and did some damaging things. And for me, I was like, if I can get through that, that's my dad. What he does, what he did is not gonna, okay, like, is that the best you got? Like, okay, you act like I can't go out and do the same thing, you know, and I'm not saying that it didn't hurt. It's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is when you've been through some mud with a parent, with a father, with somebody who's supposed to protect you, and then you get with somebody else who kind of does the same things that your dad did, you make a choice. And I chose at that moment to not sit in a victim mentality, not sit in the mud, to really just say, okay, God, you need to heal me. You need to heal me from daddy issues, and you need to heal me from my husband, his past, because at this point, I have to keep going. I have a kid now. You know, I have people that are looking up to me because I had a nonprofit girls foundation. Like, I have people that I'm mentoring. I can't keep carrying this. Like, I have to move forward, and I had to pray my way through it. And I know for some people that's like, oh, God can't fix it. He fixed it, because we're still married. He fixed it. If you don't believe in God, I need you to understand that he is real. Because he has gotten me through some things
I see a lot of y'all asking, like, how do you know that he was going to change? How do you know, or I'm about to walk away from my relationship? What do I do? How can I like, there is no blueprint. Unfortunately, and it's coming from the person that broke her heart and had to mend it back together. But from what we've been through and what she shared with me and what I've been able to internalize from her, it's no blueprint. You guys have to find some type of commonality outside of love, because love is just that. It's so much that contributes to a foundation that when you guys do get rocky, and sometimes it may come down, you have to find something that helps you rebuild, because love is gonna fade. It's times where she wakes up and she only likes me, she don't love me, so I have to, you know, go do a little bit more to get her back in that lovey-dovey mode. So again, figure out the foundation of you guys' relationship, and kind of maybe write that down. Do different things that can probably plant seeds. Y'all pray on it. Again, God is very real for us. We're in this position. Y'all are here listening to this because this obviously for a reason. But like we're big on stewardship. We're big on a lot of things. Communication. I was a terrible communicator. I still feel like I am. But
he was a man. Oh,
you gotta bring that up.
That was a phase. I thought, I was like, if this is the Tower of God, I will throw you an extra one, because the communication was terrible.
Communication is huge.
He was a terrible communicator. But you know, I think to answer that question, because it was the second part of the question from YouTube, how I personally overcame it and worked through some things as far as the trust and, you know, finding that common ground. I honestly just, outside of praying for it, I had to find, I think it was on a Tyler Perry movie, Why Did I Get Married? I had to create a list. And sometimes I wrote it down, but sometimes I had to make a mental list of the things that I cherished about my marriage or my relationship or about him as a person. And then I had to look at the things that, you know, I didn't like. And when I created that list, it honestly made me like don't see, okay, these are things that God has to deal with that are out of my control. And when they became out of my control, I realized, Britnee, you can only control this list.
Yeah.
Focus on the parts that you can control, which is you, the things that he is doing right, and the things that you're doing right, and that's it. The things that you can't control,
give it to God.
Give it to God. And I know that sounds cliche, but that's what I did. I had to do it because it was hard. It's hard to try to take on a whole marriage by yourself or a whole relationship. Both people have to be willing, and I think that's what, you know, got us through. We were both willing to fight for it.
Yeah.
Because you see, we're cute. I don't know what else to say.
Well, guys, we got a minute warning. For those of y'all watching on TikTok, we are broadcasting on Instagram and vice versa. But Instagram is counting down literally under a minute. So we gonna wrap it up.
Yeah, it's been an hour.
It's been an hour that
But we appreciate y'all so much.
Real talk.
It has been great. We thank you guys for participating. We obviously have to do another one because y'all are asking some good questions.
We're gonna have to go through this live and pick out some questions.
Yes. Oh yeah, we'll do that, and we'll answer some on YouTube maybe. Thank y'all. Thank y'all so much. We appreciate all of the love and the messages. Y'all can flood my personal Instagram with the messages and our Instagram shared because I do answer.
Yeah, she answers.
I'm slow, but I answer.
I be on the move.
But we thank you guys, and we will see you next time.
Good night, y'all. Y'all have a good weekend.